4.5.
Mitrovic, what do you reckon?
Nah.
No? David Mitrovic?
I like
takers.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he shoots a lot, doesn't he? Which is something I like. But and actually, that worked out for him in the first maybe 12 game weeks the last time, shooting a lot, getting them on target, and the goals were going in. But then they just kind of tailed off. I think the problem last time was he just got fed up, didn't he? Because it would be like he'd go forward, he'd have a shot, he'd miss, which is fine. Strikers miss shots, right? It's like, fine, I'll score the next one. 5 minutes later, his team's conceded another goal, and he's just like, oh, come on. And I don't know. I mean, I think they will be a little bit better. Like Michael Hector's, obviously an improvement on what they had at centre-back before. So maybe they'll be a bit more stable, which allows him a bit more kind of freedom to kind of go and get the goals. But I don't know. Is he the new Pukki? Who was the new Mitrovic? I don't know. We'll have to see.
I mean Mitrovic talisman, isn't he? That's the thing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Everything is through it, but and his penalties. But the thing is, Fulham playing a very strange way in the Championship. They're a heavy possession game. They were like 80% possession in some matches. So how's he going to adapt that to the Premier League? He can't come up and expect Fulham to be getting 50, 60% possession, I don't think. But so I'm really interested to see how they set out and play, because they kind of Fulham sucked the joy out of games in the Championship. They kind of just strangled you to death, and you ended up just conceding because you got bored, basically, because they just kept the ball, and it was a lot of tippy-tappy football. We aren't going to be able to see that in the Premier League, I don't think. So I'm still tempted by Mitrovic just because he's so important to them. And I think, well, if they're going to stay up, he's got to get 10 goals. And it's 6 million is such a teasing price. If it was 6.5, it'd be like, no.
Yeah, I think, was he 6.5 the last time they came up? So then,
yeah, I don't know.
A bit of a I think it's a 0.5 saving, and he did all right. There was a time when everyone had him because he is capable of stringing together a couple of goals, with Premier League experience. When you compare that with maybe some of the Leeds players, I actually think Leeds will stay up. They might have a similar problem. Possession-based football, very good on the counter. So how are they going to cope with Premier League life? We're not really sure. But the goals are very spread around that team. Whereas, Hernandez obviously is I think it was 18 attacking involvements. Bamford I think had 18 as well. But Bamford misses quite a lot of his chances, like loads. I think he missed 34 big chances, which is just absolutely mad. So they're another team that are possession based, but it's hard to really pick out one player I'd be particularly excited by. And they don't have as much Premier League experience as Mitrovic does. So even though I actually think Leeds will stay up, and I don't know if Fulham will, I can definitely see that Mitrovic looks like a more nailed-on option compared to some of the Leeds guys at the moment. We'll have to see.
Yeah. What I like about Bamford is he's 5'5", and I think Leeds are going to have to recruit another striker. So I'm hoping they recruit someone pretty strong, and then the FPL go, well, we've got to make him 5'5" because Bamford is. And then we get a decent 5'5" option. I mean, he's a nice player. He's technically very good. But like you say, it's those missed chances which the Leeds faithful got on his back a lot for that last season. And you've got to think he's not going to get those big chances in the Premier League. So, if his conversion's not great, he's not going to be starting, is he? They've got to get someone who can convert the chances, because then they're going to get fewer of them. But I prefer Leeds to Fulham, because I think Leeds have got a bit of cut and thrust about them.
Yeah.
Phillips is powerful in midfield. Harrison I like as well, but I don't think I'll be going there yet. Dallas might be the option in defence, like you say.
Yeah, it's definitely a wait and see, because I think they're a team that can thrive on the counter, but that wasn't their MO in the Championship. It was, like you said, it was similar to Fulham in terms of possession base. They won't get that possession, so they might have to look to cater more towards that counter-attacking football. And how they do that, we just got to wait and see. They've got a lot of options in those wide areas, which could be key for those counter-attacking moves. And Bamford may still actually get some of those chances if they can exploit that space, but it's just whether or not he can score them, and not too sure he will. And the other thing is, we've spoken to some people who sort of cover Leeds, and they seem quite adamant that Bielsa's very, very loyal to his players as well. So, I mean, he's going to sign, you'd imagine he's going to sign some players, but a lot of the people who've been covering Leeds are kind of very much getting the vibe that most of that team that started in the Championship will start in the Premier League. So, yeah, it's hard to know, because you feel like that may be not the right thing. So I don't really know what Leeds are going to do this year. Definitely wait and see on them. Definitely.
Also, with amongst the promoted sides, West Brom are coming up. I just put West Brom's team up on the screen. I thought, what's happening? I'm flashbacking, and all these names.
They've got Gareth McCauley. They've got Craig Dawson.
I know all of
don't
these.
mention McCauley. You're asking for trouble.
I know all of these names from failed FPL sides of mine in the past. Good to see Livermore there. Good to see.
Oh no, it's not
Gibbs. No. O'Shea.
No. Oh, Hegazi. Hegazi's back.
That's just.
One thing about
Charlie
West
Austin
Brom,
as well has been successful, but now I don't know.
aren't West Brom sniffing around Duffy of Brighton?
Yeah.
If they get him
Oh yeah.
with set pieces, he's a monster on set pieces.
Triple captain alert.
Brighton now have around. I saw a post from one of the fan sites. They now own 31% of the world's defenders. They are so much. It's like last season when the last couple of seasons, when you look at the Watford transfer page and you look at the players and you think, what? How many defenders? 30. Well, that's what Brighton are starting to look like now. Now there's going to be a lot of rotation.
They got some good players. Ben White's a good player. Webster's a good player.
Lamptey. There's a lot of good players there. A lot of good value. See, Dunk is at 5 million.
I was in a restaurant with Lewis Dunk the other day. He wasn't sitting on my table. He was sitting opposite me, and I kind of looked at him and went, "That looks like Lewis Dunk, but he doesn't look big enough. He doesn't look like a centre half." And then I checked and went online and Googled a few things and found out it was actually Lewis Dunk was sitting opposite me. Well, he's not as imposing as you think.
The Brighton defence is so massive now.
You got Byrne, haven't you?
Yeah.
So that makes
sense. But even if you're like 6'5", 6'6", they're still like tiny. They're all like they're huge. Anyway, Robson Carnu. Oh my god! I mean, these names West Brom. So.
Don't get me started on him. He would, like, as a Reading fan, my goodness, he would love turning up for Wales, but put him in a Reading shirt and he just couldn't be bothered.
It's not. I'm not.
Charlie
yet
Austin's
interested.
there. Look,
I know Charlie Austin, but
nostalgia pick. Go on.
But the teams I'm obviously